Hello everybody, welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today, for deck number 468, we're going to do Volrath the Shapestealer. Three-color Volrath this time. Last time he was mono black. But I really kind of like this one. It's kind of neat, kind of quirky. It's a different counter kind of deck. Anyway, obviously he's a shapeshifter. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you put a -1/-1 counter on up to one target creature. So up to, meaning you don't have to do it. So for 1 mana until your next turn, so this lasts through the entire table cycle, Volrath becomes a copy of target creature with a counter on it, except that it's a 7/5 and has this ability. That last line's important because you may want to change it. Different turns, you may have different needs. So, I really, really like it. Now, he doles out the -1/-1 counter, right? But the second part doesn't care what kind of counter it is. Now, if you've got like an extra that which was taken, which I don't, and start passing out divinity counters on things, that, hey, that's cool. Or, +1, -1, charge counter, whatever. As long as it's a creature, it's got a counter on it of any kind. I thought about going back to like Fallen Empires and getting those weird like -2, -1 counters, or But anyway, the very first card I thought of when I saw Volrath spoiled it's an old card. I think it may actually be on the reserve list. It's another one of those sub-dollar reserve list cards. A Coup de Jin. I mean, look at this guy. Okay. It's black, so it's got to have a drawback. 5 mana, 5/6 trample, right? But during your upkeep, each opponent puts a 1/1 counter on each creature they control. So, wow. Yeah. Every creature on the board that's not yours gets a +1/+1 counter on it. Now Volrath can copy every creature on the board. Right? And then pair that with like the generous patron. Whenever you put a counter on a creature you don't control, draw a card. Whoa. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of card draw. I mean, yeah, I've got, of course, the Simon Blood and Coastal Piracy, but anyway. So, yeah, we can copy our opponent's creatures that have counters on them. We can also copy our creatures that have counters on them. So let's actually look at the creatures that we are running that, we might want to copy. First and foremost, the first card that's on everybody's mind is, of course, the Blighted Agent. It has Infect, and it's unblockable. Now, Volrath says he retains his 7/5, so that's a 7/5 unblockable Infect commander. That seems pretty strong. And if we've got any kind of, +1 counters on Volrath, I mean, we could be talking about a one-hit killer there. There aren't many commanders that are in the one-hit club. We have, because that's one card, and I mean, we're not always going to draw it. Flying and Swamp Walk. The land walks are, I feel like, is an often overlooked evasion ability. So, I say that, and I believe this is the only land walk creature I have in the deck. But, you know what also is a good evasion ability? Yeah, Shadow. So, not only does it have Shadow, it can't be blocked by white creatures. So, yeah. Oh, by the way, very on theme for Volrath. Plague Stinger's another Infect flyer. That's not bad to copy. Tidehollow Strix, Flying and Death Touch is not bad. If you see that Volrath is going to die, you can turn him into a 7/5 Strangleroot Geist. That way, when it dies and it comes back, he's got that +1/+1 counter from undying on it. Pretty sweet, huh? Thornwheeled Archer has Reach and Death Touch because Reach is kind of an important thing. We ain't got, just a whole ton of flyers, but hey. 7/5 reach is not bad. Hapatra, kind of one of those cards that, you know, probably should be in there because it does pass out the minus counters, and maybe I kind of split it too much. I can see just using a -1/-1 counter theme with Volrath, but my fear was if I run stuff like Harbinger of Night or stuff like that, my fear was that, well, I'm just going to kill their creatures and not have anything to copy. So I was like, so we'll do a mix of +1 and -1, and I don't know. They might cancel each other. Who knows? Sphinx of the Magosi. I kind of like this one. I mean, here again, it kind of answers our card draw issue a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of expensive. It's 3 mana to draw a card, but it gets a counter on it. So if Volrath needs to be a 7/5 flying Sphinx, that's kind of cool. Of course, Vigor. I mean, +1 counters, right? So, yeah. It's really cool if you've got the Vigor and there's a counter on Vigor and you can turn Volrath into Vigor because, yeah, math is fun. Regenerate, yeah, don't laugh. Regeneration gets overlooked. And there are times when, I mean, most of the time a Drudge Skeleton is no huge threat. I mean, it's not on a board. Everybody knows it's a ground blocker, you know. But it's got that regenerate, and if it's got a counter on it, hey, you know, in an emergency, I can just turn Volrath into the skeleton and regenerate. Now, Thought Sponge is a very unique one. I love this card, by the way. It is 4 mana. That's a lot to hold up. But it's a big-time reward for when you do. And, you know, if it has counters on it, Volrath can copy it if the situation arises and you don't have any way to save him. You can just, okay, I'm going to turn him into a Thought Sponge and draw some cards. Sure, why not? Progenitor Mimic and Clone I'm playing just because they are absolutely awesome. I love them. Obelisk Spider. Yeah, this is probably a slot. I'll admit. You know. Rolesk. There again. Proliferate, then Proliferate again. Molu, because, you know, hey. But for the absolute Spike Cannibal is kind of the ultimate, I don't know, Hydra Hoser, or if I can see this doing well if I've got Aku out there early and all these counters are starting to mound up and there's 3 and 4 counters on every single opponent's creature, and you just Spike Cannibal, you know, you just 3 mana out of 20 something. Seems decent, right? Well, let's look through some ramp fixing mana stuffs. Sure. Drone Cover Dark Ritual mainly because it's Volrath. I mean, I had to, right? There's another card in here that I'm playing just because it's Volrath's Curse. It's kind of sort of removal pacifism-ish, but I mean, I kind of had to flavor-wise. But let's look through Land Search, I guess I got it first. Nature's Lore. Fertilid. It does interact with counters. Now, granted, this would be an awesome doubling season deck, or if I had another copy of Hardened Scales, it would be perfect. There's so many ways to just abuse the counters in these 3 colors. It's like, what is it, Simic plus black? I mean, that's awesome. This is Pilgrimage. I'm running this one because I figure I'm probably going to have 2 or more instant and sorceries. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm running a lot of these, a lot of removal. I'm probably going to have it. Cultivate. Harrow. Hour of Promise. Deep Reconnaissance, I figured I don't normally use this one. I kind of like it. You get one now, one later. Doesn't cost you a card later. Sure. Soul Ring, Sultai Banner, and lock it. Because let's face it, the lockets are good early. They're decent late because you can ditch them for 2 cards. And I have a Ronus's Monument. Now, I know it's weird. The only monument I'm running in a 3-color deck is the green one. But when you cast a creature, Volrath gets, this is how I'm reading it, target Volrath you control gets +2/+2 and trample. Right? So you're going to want to time that to where it's after he's done became his final form for that turn. Or, I don't know, maybe you just Epic proportion him because 7 and 5 is 12, and then you copy the infect guy, and you just don't worry about it anymore. Vraska, I'm running the Vraska mainly, to be honest with you, for the assassins. Yeah, she's got a small 1/1, but what do we got? One Death Toucher in there. I don't know. I'm not sold here. I put her in there mainly to take the place of or take out later when I do get another like Hardened Scales type card. So, or I mean, I could go hardcore with the Death Touch route. I could switch it over to like Death Touch Trample stuff. I guess I don't know. Here is our ways to Volrath. I mean, doesn't have trample, so Rancor seemed like a really fitting card to, especially because you can recur it. I mean, it's hard to lose a Rancor. Phyresis, yeah. I mean, sure, why not? Right? We're just gonna, and by the same token, Tainted Strike. Now, how are we getting counters? We're getting counters. We're going to start epically slow, okay? Dragon Blood. If we're relying on Dragon Blood, then we got issues. Titania's Boon at 4 mana, being sorcery speed. That's but still, that's a thread on there. I don't want y'all to think that was actually on the card, but 1/1 on. And here, Elvish Rite, or Elven Rite, 2 counters, any way you choose. Okay, it's whatever. Spoils of War is actually a really good one. You're about to see the removal suite, and so there's going to be creatures in graveyards. So you just pick whoever has the most, and you can pass the Spoils of War counters out any way you choose. And the crowd goes wild, right? So, this is awesome. It passes out the counters to X target creatures. So as long as you can target your opponent's creatures, you can make them bigger. I realize this is not a headspace where we normally play in, but we kind of want to make them bigger so that we can copy them. Now, granted, this would probably be a really good like propaganda or collective restraint deck, especially since we're running 3 different color lands. Maybe that's what we need to put in like the Vraska slot and in the Awakening of Vitu-Ghazi slot. But Unspeakable Symbol is, I love this card because there's so few decks. Everybody plays it in Marchesa, of course, because Marchesa's got the problem of, yeah, you hit the person at the highest life over and over, and then eventually you're at the highest life. So it solves that problem and rewards you with the counter that Marchesa wants. But here, the beautiful part is at instant speed, you can, in response, put a counter on your creature, turn Volrath into your creature, all for the low price of, 3 life and 1 mana. So that's kind of sweet. And then, since we are playing with 1/1 counters, the Simic Ascendancy is kind of the thing that, I wanted to be doing. Can we get a better angle? Let's see if we can get a better angle there. I hope I didn't go through too many cards. I tend to look at the cards and not at the screen. So, here we go with removal. A lot of these are pretty, I mean, you pretty well know what they do. Diabolic Edict, Naturalize, Death Sprout, Doomblade, Casualties of War. Gosh, I love that card. Putrefy, the Executioner, and the Marauder. I consider Control Magic to be removal, and yes, this Control Magic has seen some love. This has seen many, many unsleeved played games. I'm going to try out this Leadership Vacuum. Sure. I don't know. We're going to see how it plays. It does replace itself, and we'll see how it works. Chain of Acid. Y'all know how I feel about Chain of Acid. You target the second worst thing, or you target something that, if I know player B is really bothered by enchantment, artifact, something that player C has, I'm going to target something of theirs because I know they're going to bounce it over there, and I'm going to get 2 cards for 1. And then Price of Betrayal, because sometimes we are spending a little bit of effort to put counters on stuff, and we're not going to be able to copy them all, because we only have 1 Volrath, but which I guess we could, like Helm of the Host, that Joker, and get many copies, and then start taking extra upkeeps and copying. That's a whole different deck, isn't it? Anyway, squish the air out of here and look at our non-basics now. A lot of these is the Refuge, Aqueduct, Sunken Hollow. I really like these. Is this as much as they could give us at, I don't know. See, I want like snow. Let's see. What would be good but not too powerful? Snow Shocks? Or how about, wait a minute. No, maybe not Snow Shocks. How about like land type duels, exactly like this, land, island, swamp. It's going to come into play tapped unless you control another snow land. Yeah, I'm always going to snow, I know it. The Rot Farm, the Golgari Gate, the Hollow, Falls, Stream, Simic Guild Gate. Now, here again, these Tempest lands, a lot of people don't like, but I'm telling you, they're not that terrible. They come into play tapped. You get the Coas for the nothing, and it's the Ice Age lands. Granted, the Ice Age lands were better. They made these. These are strictly worse. And 5 from Tempest, they're all enemy colored. But, yeah, they're pain lands, but they come into play tapped. And a lot of people don't like both of those downsides. They just, they're only willing to tolerate one. But either way, I like it. Rogue's Passage. Now, this is a deck that actually needs Rogue's Passage. Because there's a good chance we're just winning with commander damage here. Dread Statuary. All right. Y'all hear me out now. Y'all remember back that card that said put 9 counters on target land and it becomes a creature, but it's still a land? All right. So this board state can happen. Now, it is a 3-card combo, and having your commander out on the field is not a big deal. Everybody does it every game just about. So, and having a Dread Statuary out there is also not a big deal. So you're not having a real big, you're not really signaling real heavy. But if you can turn your Dread Statuary into the creature until end of turn, because that last line says it's still a land, then you turn Volrath. You spend 1 mana to make Volrath the Dread Statuary 7/5 land, and bam, put 9+1/+1 counters on him because he's a land. Vitu-Ghazi Awakening. Oh, Yes, I know. I know that is incredibly janky, and it'll probably never happen. But you know what? If it ever does happen, whoever is playing this deck, it may not be me, might be. That's going to be $1 million play. You're going to feel like king of the world. I love it. Um, Opulent Palace, Exotic Orchard, Gateway Plaza, Guild Gate, Backwater, Boneyard, Promenade, Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic Expanse. And evidently I wanted to show y'all a swamp. I put a basic land in there with the others. So, oh, I need to really paint this. Whoa, paint this room. Get down here where we can see. Put this back in the box. But yeah, I had a ton of fun building Volrath. I really liked the Aku Dijin aspect of it. And I mean, the land thing, yeah, it does occupy the slot of the Awakening. By the way, you can see I'm loaded for bear and ready to go now. I'm ready to do some mad scientist deck building stuff and junk. So let's look up here on wall, turn so my company logo don't show on my shirt. And 468 is done. I do appreciate y'all watching. Y'all let me know what you think. But right now, I think we're going to shuffle and cut